beautiful. We're gonna have to take advantage of that. Hi. 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 Welcome. DJ, nice to see you. We're 45 feet above sea level. Let's get to 100. I'll help. Who says I can't carry my own weight here? Love bubbles. Sometimes it's nice to give yourself a love bubble bath. That's what I'm doing right now. Amongst the beach woods. Sometimes it's nice to give yourself a love bubble bath. That's what I'm doing right now. Amongst the beach woods. Giving myself a love bubble bath. Seeing it as Valentine's Day and all. 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 Hi, everyone. We are making our way through this patch of crunchy snow. The sound will be a little scratchy and crunchy for a few minutes, and then once we get to the top of this hill, we'll stop for a bit and take in some sunshine. Thanks for all the love. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you. Oh, yes, I see you. I see you observing me through your two-dimensional quartz screen. In case you're thinking, William, I can't hear you. There's so much damn crunching. I know, just give me like 30 more seconds. I don't blame you. And you know, especially the ladies in the audience, on such a day, all meds should be adhering to your wishes. I am no exception. Do my best to show you as much love as humanly possible on this Valentine's Day for the sake of celebration of life. All right, we're almost there. I said 30 seconds. Three zero. Have some ASMR on me. Big pause, big pause. some dog with big paws. But veering off. Oakley dokley. Yeah, this is good. Right here. This'll work. Christina, hello, says, I'm currently watching this while at the Eagles Super Bowl parade. Nice. Philadelphia. Adriana, thank you for sharing the live. Thanks to everyone. Grand Rising, good morning, Aries. If you folks are giving gifts, it appears that you are. And I just don't know. I don't see them. Marianne, thank you for following. Marianne, I should just say hi. Have a great Friday and weekend to you too, DJ. Thank you for that. All right. This is the sun. Say hello, sun. Think of the sun as a life-giving principle. It is very similar to the umbilical cord that you had that fell off from your tummy at some point. And while you're doing that, I will be doing it too. And I am doing it too. I'm going to read from this book here, which I got off of Amazon on the cheap because it's used. This is The Secret of Secrets by U.S. Anderson, the key to your subconscious power. And I shall be reading from this book one, if not many, of the meditations that are reserved for the reader. Let's do that. Let's just go to a rando page. Oh, this is one. Let's see here. Here's a rando page. Let's choose the 7th meditation on this Valentine's Day. The 7th meditation. Hello, everyone. Don't be shy. Just come on in. Relax, rest, and receive. You don't need to have the answers. Let me be the one who tells you that for the first time. 7th meditation. I affirm my love for God. And in that love, I perceive the truth of God's eternal love for me. I affirm the presence of the divine within me, and in the knowledge of that presence, I sense myself secure forever, enfolded in everlasting arms. The nature of love is the nature of God. It is the eternal longing of His parts to be integrated once again into one. Accordingly, my knowledge of God depends upon my love for God. And inasmuch as this love possesses me, I possess it and am illumined. Therefore, I consecrate my life, every fiber of my being, to the divine. I give all, ask back nothing. Yet what I give from my small self, that which is incomplete and finite and microscopic, must in the end be returned to me 100-fold from that which is whole and entire and infinite. All about me I perceive the manifold forms of the divine, and I perceive Him dwelling in each. There are no different selves in the universe, but one self only. One sense of being, one aliveness, one awareness, one I, which is always and eternally God. When I love another, it is God I love. When I perceive in each form the presence that inhabits all forms, then I know the divine, and in that knowledge I love all, and my love is complete. No longer do I rail against loneliness, for God is within me. No path is too solitary, no way too deserted, no food not offered, that I may not take it with the joy and knowledge of the companionship and comfort of the divine. He guides me every step of the way. He leads me in all ways. His love working through me draws my mate to me, my perfect partner, cements our relationship, crowns our union with joy. His love working through me attracts friends, viewers, makes of my life a testimony to his warmth and everlasting compassion. That is the 7th meditation from U.S. Anderson's The Secret of Secrets, your key to subconscious power. An oldie but a goodie. So before everyone runs away hearing the words God, or hearing some fear word that has been embedded in your mind to reject and run from, when you hear me saying his everlasting power instead of her everlasting power, please just be patient with me. Please be patient. The answers are coming. You see, he, i.e., the Father of creation, is a gardener, and he chooses seeds that have the best blueprint for one's personal expression. And you are that one. You are the son who makes the decisions as to what you want for dinner, who you wish to date, marry, when you wish to bring children into this world, or if you decide when to yell, when to scream, when to be quiet, when to be still, when to run. You, as the child, make all of these decisions in the process of learning, coming into being in your truth. And your father is there as a constant senior partner, a supervisor, who does his best to make sure that the expansive life principle runs through you true, and that all of your true desires, as he already knows them to be, since he is you and is the giver of you, transmits these seeds with the perfect blueprint right to the womb of creation, this very earth before you. But before it arrives in its proof and manifests itself before you, it first must leave an impression upon the mother of creation, the womb of creation, otherwise known as the matrix. Matrix in Latin means the womb. It's not some movie by the Wachowskis that I'm talking about, though it's great and it's very revealing and it gives you lots of knowledge. I'm not referring to science fiction. I'm referring to truth. This truth is within you. It's not outside of you, even though I refer to seeds leaving themselves impressed upon the earth and then they grow into the trees that you see. You being one of those trees, a mobile one, but all the same, the concept remains. I'm not talking about this physical world. When I talk about impressing the mother of creation, I am talking about something that is underneath and above and all throughout, but isn't a thing. The universal subconscious mind. A portion of God that knows the means and the way to express everything and does, without discrimination, discernment, judgment, or label. It simply receives that which you feel as real the most. And in doing that, you reveal yourself as the child having the life experience, making mistakes, going through these processes, and all the time giving feedback back to your mother and father about what you want. You get to live like a child. In fact, if you live like a child, then you enter the kingdom in a true way. You get to make mistakes. You get to falter, blunder, say things that are inappropriate, make poor decisions, and be forgiven for each and every one of them. You could have the perfect meal delivered to you that someone labored over, and you could toss it on the ground and laugh at it. And not even for a single moment be yelled at for it. These parents that you have, the eternal Father and the eternal Mother, love you so much that they would allow anything you entertain to come to light. That doesn't mean this external world's going to do the same for you. No. This external world is just a consequence. It's just the result. The result of your thoughts leading to feelings, leaving an impression, and coming to light. So in effect, when you are counting on these things outside of you to deliver to you the answers that you seek, what you are in effect is traveling on a boat while looking back behind you at the wake, whilst the red-tailed hawk glides in a circle. You don't see it. You just see the past, rolling and crashing into other waves from the past. And until you're present, you will have no power over where this ship is steered toward. It will simply be a coin toss. Perhaps you'll just be going in circles until you crash into sudden land or an island or some Bermudian triangle. But whatever it is, it's just illusion. Everything that you see before you, it's the result of your entertained thoughts already manifesting. So why yell at it? In effect, it's just a non-player character. I mean, it may sound very real. You're hearing these conversations, you're hearing me say these things. I mean, they're made in time. You want to make sense of them. The moment that you make sense of them, they no longer become real. How confusing is that, William? The moment I try to make sense of something, it no longer is real. That's right. Because you have gone into your imagination to create a construct of time in order to go into that construct of time and label something, thus forgetting that you are alive and forgetting that you are present. It is an illusion. Anytime you label, anytime you define something, you are stepping into illusion. The result is suffering. The result is suffering. You don't know this. Not until you feel it. And you know, the ego is so clever with that, because the moment that you feel it, you're going to say, that man's the cause. He said that thing that really triggers me. It sets me off. You think your ego's going to argue with you? Knows you're in time. As long as you're in time, using your imagination for its construction, it's going to keep feeding you all the story that you need to believe that you are a victim. It's going to keep feeding it to you while it feeds off of you. It's feeding you nothing of substance. It's feeding you no resolution. It's feeding you no relief. But it feels like it because it feels like something. And as long as we're feeling something, it must be better than nothing. It must be better than the emptiness I feel in this stillness. And this is the trap that we fall into for a long time. And so the promises that are made, they just never add up. They don't ever come through. They don't ever materialize. Not the way we want. might be nightmarish in comparison to what we want, but it never quite happens in the form of relief. And so because of this, eventually we get fed up, literally fed to the brim with negative feelings, suffering, and pain. Two directions we can turn in at that moment in time. We can turn to substances. We can turn the light off, unalive ourselves. Or we can be present and observe without any attachment, without any judgment or label. All three of these decisions will be fueled by consciousness, and we are welcome to take them. Take substances and mask the feeling that is that of emptiness. Escape again back into time. It's comfort, even though it's painful, it's familiar. It's a love relationship that is unhealthy and codependent, but all the same, it's better than being alone. And with the substances, it can dim out whatever reality might be trying to force its way into our hearts, i.e. our inner child screaming from within for salvation, because it can't do it without you. Skipper, I'm talking to you. Or you could just lean in. You could lean in and observe that you're alive. And you could feel it in all of its entirety. And not have to jump or run or fight or scream or resist in any way. Not say yes, not say no, not even be accepting of it. But instead, observe it. And by observing it, you step out of the body. And you step into this place that you were told since you started to grow up was worthless, had no meaning, was a wild place not worth your entertainment. And to take your head out of that sand and to take the cotton out of your damn ears and go get a damn job and figure out your life, because I'm not going to take care of you. You're not going to be a child forever. Your imagination has led you astray. And so you listen and you lean into all that too. You don't respond to it. You don't let it trigger you because you're not there. Whilst all this is unfolding before you as some radio station in the background, you have found yourself amongst the most pristine of beaches. You have been embraced with the perfect kiss. The love that you've sought, that you felt could exist, arrives and is right before you. You feel it rush through your body. The sensation of truth in your salvation. Suddenly you transport yourself to the perfect meal. There's a bouquet of flowers. It's scent in the air. And you know that the answer is before you, not in the distance, not even in make-believe, because you feel it. I can tell you what else feels it. All 37.2 trillion cells of your body feel it too. And they come and go for us, so I can offer you these words, so that you can hold your cell phone or your tablet, or peer on from someplace. They die for you. And then they're born for you again, at a rate that is so fast and unbelievable you wouldn't want to consider it if you were a scientist, because it would feel like it's just too powerful, too spiritual. But I'll tell you anyway, it ranges for everyone between 3 and 6 million cells per second coming and going from your body. If that wasn't enough, 100 trillion atoms in each one of those cells, each of them containing the infinite intelligence of God, descending from a subatomic fixture of unified presence, from superposition into reality, and then going back the moment those cells release and die, constantly cycling between every single step and breath you take. Yet we neglect that breath, don't we? We talk poorly about this body too. We speak in lack, like there's some need beyond what we've been given. Because we've been trained and indoctrinated to believe that we are weaklings, that we have no say over our lives, that the things we try to do are ultimately to fail. And only by chance would someone get a break, and if you get a break, it's because you're lucky. Bullshit. Bullshit on Valentine's Day, I call it right now. The chickadees are reaffirming. Tracy Flora, thank you for following. Jules, God bless you. Happy beautiful day on purpose. I love it. Let's talk about purpose today. Savannah, thanks for following. I love seeing people come in. Thank you for sharing and loving. Wow, we're already at 4,500 feet above sea level. I didn't realize I was climbing that fast. Thought I was taking my time. Taking my time. Yes, I'm taking my time back. Taking my time back from the pain that has been embedded in my body. How about you? Anyone else? Would you like that on your menu today? Take back your time? The time that was otherwise mismanaged and given to a complete and total phantom that has no way to solve any issues, but instead lives off of the drama, the gossip, lives off of the pain, knowing it can add another page to a fully embedded story, thinking this will go on for however long it has to be right by your side. I, for one, have no interest in such fiction. I like speculative fiction, stuff that I can tie into the real world. You know where the real world is? It's right here. This is where the real world is. Do you know what feeds the real world? It's right here. Do you know what protects the real world? Right here. Pineal pituitary, third ventricle, solar plexus, high heart, thymus, magnetic, defensive, intuitive, and brilliant. Full intuitions here, though, in the gut. But that's chemical. This is electric, this is magnetic, this is chemical. You seem wise, too. Shrugs. And shrugs, if you asked what, it was what to something that didn't see it at the time that you said it. Isn't everything chemical? If you think so, I won't deny you that. Nor do I have the power. Seems like a cop-out, doesn't it? But I know where this is going. I can sense it already. I could judge you. But you first. You first. We could put ourselves at a distance. Find some separation between us. Fight. Cells in the body do it. But they fight to the death. Pretty brutal, too, the way it happens. We wouldn't be doing that justice. Not while we're behind these beautiful protective quartz screens, now would we? No, we wouldn't. We'd be pretenders, like children, pretending to be tough. But I'll read your questions anyway. And then he said, "What is feeling those chemicals?" And I said, "Other chemicals." And then he said, "This constitutes gossip." Let's make it into an example. You are on a precipice where you truly want the answer. You feel like someone's pushing you, but no one is. You've made it there by yourself. You took all the decisions to step there. And you start speaking as if The wind before you is a thing, like this character that you hold before you is responsible. And so you speak about this thing as if it's separate from you and not even alive, like has a name or an identity, and that's good. That's good. Because I am alive, but I don't have an identity. Not in truth. And when you speak about he, probably best to spell it with a capital H. That way you can truly convince me that you're seeing the truth when you say he. Otherwise, you're just speaking to another avatar who seems to be pushing on you. Pushing from a two-dimensional quartz screen. I don't have to judge you or label you. All I have to do is point out the foolish behavior. Come into your power. Be silent and listen. Try not to define things so much. That isn't pushing. That's receiving. Society isn't pushing you. You're pushing nothing. And since you're pushing nothing, it feels like a wall. It pushes you back. Thus you blame it. So you start talking about it as if it's a thing. You start to give it an animated name, something that is separate from you. Still you try to define it. Now your ego's rushing in, trying to give you salvation. It tells you to wave the white flag, or put up the black flag with your beautiful skull and crossbones. Put it right there. You can either run, or you can fight. But those are the options that your ego gives you. At no point in time does your ego offer you the salvation in just being. That for a moment this could mean nothing. And simply be present to you, and for you, by you. Because you are nothing more than alive. An observer of aliveness. And if you were to come into this truth right now, you would find that nothing pushes you because it's just going through you. And then you can really go watch The Matrix. And you can watch that scene again when Neo, which is just a nice way of saying the one, because of the same damn letters, goes to visit the Oracle before he has a chocolate chip cookie. He comes across a young boy on the carpet, bending spoons with his mind. He has difficulty understanding how, until it's explained to him. It isn't the spoon that bends as much as it isn't the wall that is being pushed against or pushes back. It is the self in knowing thyself that bends. And all goes with it. But that might be a later chapter for you, my friend. You don't even have a name. I mean, I would say that's an advancement. That's movement in the right direction. But that symbol that doesn't even have a name is just shrugging, like you could care less about the infinite intelligence that is giving you consciousness to be indifferent. That is foolish. It's a symbol that is foolish. You have more power than a shrug. But then again, I'm not the best Ankh, and I'm not the best father, I suppose, for most. Jules asks about the blue tags on the trees. Well, Jules, they come in different colors, and the way they work is some of them indicate that you are west from a body of water or east to a body of water. Some indicate whether or not you're on a difficult or well-designed and organized trail. Others tell you where there's shelter, emergency housing, and others tell you, without even having a marking on the tree, that it's an area where there's coyotes or hunting. It can mean a number of things. But it's all done by the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. They come through, they maintain these trails, but they don't have to do that much here because I maintain them every day. If I see a stick on the ground or something blocking the way that's managed enough by my hands, I'll move it. I'll clear it out. The people that actually get paid to do that, I found, which is wild. TikTok promised me I could earn an extra 93 cents if I did a game for them before going live. Do you think that's worth it? 93 cents? I mean, it was telling me this was to multiply my rewards from all the donations coming through. Not that I have any expectations, I just don't understand how money is so freaking important to people now when so many have so little of it. How could something be important if you have so little of it? I wonder. It could be because everything is so costly. And that only happens when there's a shortage in goods and services or a continual or perpetual printing of money, otherwise known as fraud or a racket. That could be the only other explanation. But fortunately for Americans, and I mean very fortunate for Americans, this entire system of printing money, illegally, mind you, whilst selling it to the people at interest to use it, is crumbling right now. You may not see it, you may not feel it either, but it is crumbling, and as it is absolutely dissipating in the wind because of mismanagement of money, what you will find, dear Americans, great patriots, is everyone running for cryptocurrency, just throwing in everything that they could possibly get in before the prices go so damn high that it won't have as much value as it will now. And those are really, really fortunate days, because I'll tell you why. As the value of currency returns to the hands and the bank accounts, which are no longer bank accounts owned by centralized agencies, once they come back to the people themselves, they'll be able to do the things that they love, i.e. you will be able to do the things that you love, and you will be compensated with this currency that is now new and growing and becoming the standard. And so you'll be able to accumulate a lot of wealth as long as you're creating something that you love and believe in. And what I love and believe in creating is the dissemination of knowledge, teaching, sharing, loving, and serving. So I don't know what it is for you. I would like to know. What is it that makes you happy when you're doing it? Because you're about to come into a profound age of freedom that you may not see. But Massar sees it. Shrugs says crypto is different because it's the mathematical process of a computer. We are mathematical processes. We are information too. Then again, the computer is just an external circumstance of God's infinite intelligence. You'll get it. Shrugs. You'll get it. It will all sink in. Too many questions for a teacher who's teaching. Too many questions. And why I say too many questions, I'm not saying it because I can't field the answer. In fact, I do only that, constantly fielding answers here. It's because I can feel, and it's a judgment, but I can feel where it's coming from. And I know what's more beneficial than giving the answers just to encourage a peaceful observation of your life experience. And it doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody else on this platform. It can be off the cell phone, on the cell phone. It could be with your breath. To where you really vacate your lungs. It could be that. It could be the sound, crunching. You could adjust the volume like many people do. They just turn the volume down because the words don't matter. It's the experience. It's the unfolding of aliveness with a slight ambient sound, sometimes overwhelming to my voice, the voice you hear, sometimes lighter. But each step notably has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a space between. But it happens so fast. You don't usually pay attention to it. And of course, there's nothing on the line by not paying attention to it. Only your salvation. Only your freedom. Only your aliveness. It's the only thing that's on the line. The moment you stop asking questions. Or start. That's a warm tree. You can feel it. I'm judging you, tree. Tree, I'm judging you. And of course, I'm anthropomorphizing by saying the tree says, no worry, William. You can judge me all you want. I see you every day. I send you the same vibes. Seems to have worked out for me. I seem to be growing straight, tall and strong. I once was a seed that you could eat in a matter of seconds. But you try to bite into me now. You break your teeth. And yeah, of course, I used to be just as small as this little bush here, too. Could have bent and snapped me in half. But you weren't here then, were you? Says the tree. You weren't here then. But my neighbor was. I've got a lot of them. We share the same network of mycelium strains. They're your ancestors too, made of the same cell structure. They're eukaryotic life forms. How are my electrons, says the tree, if I were to anthropomorphize even further? How's the moss and the tardigrades that live within? You know you can't kill them with your hand, nor with a blowtorch. You could even throw them in space that still survive, even without oxygen. So no worry about harming those beautiful tardigrades, those little water bears. There's a purpose for them. Susan's been seeing the energy around trees today. That's awesome. Bob says namaste. Namaste to you, Bob. Here you go, shrugs. That's the love. Satisfying bottle, thank you for following. And we're back. Trees release free electrons. These free electrons are absorbed by the environment and your body. The surface of your skin is positively charged and porous. The negative ions pass through and bind to free radicals that otherwise would cause mutations to your cells. Thus, the immune system can relax. Cortisol levels are reduced. There's no more inflammation. Inflammation's a wild thing. Increases blood flow. Has a lot of benefits, but very detrimental over the long term. You see, back in the day, and I mean way back in the day, yes, this is the question, right? You have my attention. You would have it without this. This is what most people do. They just ask instead of first seeking attention and then asking. Type away. Free electrons bind to these positively charged free radicals, and they drop out from the body, allowing cortisol levels, which normally would be used for the reduction of inflammation, where we used to need inflammation to protect our vital organs from blows against ourselves from the external world, back when we were really predated upon. But now, that predation is in the mind, so we have a sustained inflammation that occurs not only from the way we think in placing ourselves through epigenetics into an environment that is not conducive for our health, but also introducing all sorts of toxins to the body through our food and what we ingest, also our water. The question is, how do I think the universe began? It's a good question. The best description that was ever given, that I've ever read, which I adhere to, is by Meher Baba in his book, God Speaks. That's Meher, Baba, B-A-B-A. It's a very dense, difficult book to read. However, after reviewing it enough times, it will start to sink in and make sense. The universe has no beginning, nor does it have an end. That's the first thing. The universe is more a thought of infinite intelligence that is expressing itself through the forms that we perceive as life in this three-dimensional construct, but this is just one of many life expressions. We have a localized three-dimensional experience that is holographic. It is recorded in our DNA, and there's a transmission of information that happens instantaneously through subatomic phenomena, through microtubules in your neurons that happen instantaneously based on how you think. It's just a very complicated way of saying you have a headset on in a haptic suit and you're playing a virtual reality game that's holographic and extremely tactile and believable. However, it is just information coming and going at a rate that's without time having a say. Time is a construct that we make in order to make sense of the things that are manifest that we think about. So the system itself doesn't require time, nor does it necessarily require space for the creation of its life expression. Because if it were in need of time and space for it to express itself, it would be finite. therefore no longer infinite, and it would be exposed to the same life shelf or shelf life that everything else here has. Even the sun has a shelf life. Your body is no exception. And so anything that is exposed to this external world cannot be, in truth, God. None of it. But it can be a result of its manifold expression through wanting to see life. And to want to see life, it must be a thought. And for this life to be perpetual without any beginning or end, it must be an infinite thought. That must be the mind of God. So the question becomes, why are we here as human? Well, I can say to you, Shrugs, that you have an imagination. I don't know who you're asking. Oh, here's what I'm going to do, Shrugs. Because I know how behavior works. You say something nice, I reinforce you. You say something dumb, I give you what's called the proximity effect. So you no longer have the ability to express yourself in words, but you can be close to me. And that's the gift that I give you. Proximity. Notice how I haven't blocked you. That's because I want you to feel my love. I want you to appreciate yourself more by having proximity with someone who is more intelligent than you and is here for a purpose to teach you. Like a Jedi Master would teach a Padawan, like Anakin, before he burns his bridges. You ask me a question, wait for the answer. Wait until the answer is complete before asking another question. That is the first step to understanding the Force. Use the Force. It's called restraint. Restraining oneself for the need to have instant gratification from an egoic self that knows no bounds as to how much influence it has in your life. Restrain it like a good parent would. Restrain a child who is physically aggressive. For what else can you do with a child who is physically aggressive? You can't let the child hurt other people, nor can you let the child hurt oneself. The best you can do at that point in time is to restrain the child. It's not comfortable. It's not a good thing. It's not something that anyone wants. But I can tell you, when you mute someone who's acting like a child, they never do it again. It's one and done. It's a timeout that really works. Sometimes it's needed. I get timeouts. TikTok gives them to me all the time. In fact, I'm not even given any feedback. I'm just put into timeout. I give some knowledge to people, and I'm told that that earns me a timeout. It's a violation. It's a restriction. It's some breaking of community guidelines, but I get them all the time. So it's not like you're alone. You see, it doesn't matter how many times I'm going to be corrected. I know that I'm right. If I say to you that you are more powerful than being a victim to external circumstances, then I'm not changing my opinion ever. You could say to me that you have all these diseases and all these issues and problems. I will never believe you. The moment you say that, I have checked out. I'm instead either imagining myself as wish fulfilled, counting endless amounts of money in my hands, showering it upon communities, feeding people, healing people. Or I'm seeing you doing well, but I would never adhere to it. Never. So you can talk about your problems. People have love relationships with them. But if you expect me to buy in and play along and be part of that tirade, I will play a good poker face. Yes. While I'm enjoying tucking into a nice filet mignon or perhaps some Wagyu at some nice small cafe just south of Mount Kurama in Kyoto, or I could be smelling the Suga pines after enjoying a nice cocktail or a tall glass of beer. But it won't be listening to that story of bullshit about being a victim. That won't be happening here. All right, so there is no beginning or end to this consciousness. That's the only way it works. It has to be infinite. It has to be everything and nothing. And Meher Baba talks about this with great detail. And he often would get frustrated trying to teach his devotees about how for there to be something, there has to be nothing at the same time. It just doesn't make sense to most. Because it doesn't make sense to the ego. The ego is a thing to itself, a thing unto itself. When in truth, the ego is nothing, but it believes itself to be something. And it convinces us. It convinces me, it convinces you. I fall into the performance. You could say William's performing. He's retorting. He's talking back. He's playing along. And now suddenly he's observing. Suddenly he doesn't exist, he's just watching. Feeling sun. Converting cholesterol into vitamin D. Delivering himself an anesthetic and an elevation of mood. He's turning his eyes inward with his eyes closed. Creates a small, slight, mechanical pressure against the bottom side of the pineal gland. Those calcite crystals, they send out a small charge. Causes a squeezing of cerebrospinal fluid to rush up from the third ventricle and give it a little bath. Somehow, the silicon dioxide and carbon that otherwise would have no exposure to the third eye starts to bathe the pineal gland in it as his heart starts to warm. Layer by layer, fractal by fractal, DMT dump by DMT dump, the pineal gland becomes a diamond. All in the stillness, eyes closed, head directed towards the sun. Neurogenesis. Because this broken down piece of meat was a dumb man. Dumb. Dumb and broken, lost, and given up. So he got rid of all the fluoride from his water, started taking neem and yarrow and mint, started pulling all the toxins out of his body, drinking spring water, and suddenly that pineal gland started to become flexible again, like it was brought alive in some unique new way. He didn't have to search for the words. He didn't have to look for them. He couldn't even feel them when they arrived. It was too late. They already arrived. Yet they were delivered. That starts to become comfortable. Everything is already there. It's already arrived. Not aware when it arrives, but it's already there, it's already delivered. That becomes comfortable. Like a babe in the womb. The nutrients have been delivered, they've already arrived before they were even wanted. All the psychopharmacology of the body already delivered. Didn't feel it when it happened, but it already arrived, so it must have happened. And then all that definition suddenly starts to fade and go away. It no longer matters. What remains is, I am alive. That's it. It's as simple as that. You could have everyone in the world yelling at you for this. You need to move, you need to do your things. I don't have time for this. You can't put me through this. Not nodding my head in agreement. I'm just observing it. Becomes like anything else. The sun slowly moving. That's the way I feel today. Or it could be the leaves rustling constantly, not letting go of the branch that it was alive on the year before, or maybe even 2 years before, just decides that it wants to stay, never wants to let go. Just waves in the wind, lifeless. You could hold on to that. That could be your lost marriage, your breakup, a text message. It could be a dangling leaf, like a hangnail. That's your choice. Or you could be the slow-moving sun. Perfect fuel, just taking it in all the time. You could be the moon, the fluctuation, the coming and going of emotions. You could be Mars, a very angry, fiery spirit that also serves as the strength to break the surface of the earth once a seed starts to grow. You could be the Mars of this world. You could be Mercury. You could be everything and nothing. You could predict the movements of markets and the weather. You could be every word that was ever exercised in every language. And you could be the travel that carries them through the airwaves. You could be Jupiter. You could be the king of the gods, the ruler of all things. That which expands everything he comes in contact with and touches. Addicted to passion, addicted to sensuality, addicted to food, but addicted and expanding. You could be Venus, the greatest lover ever known, the one whom everyone wants back, but could never quite have. You could be every song written, every movie made, every theatrical performance, every party, every gathering, every friend. You could be Venus. You could also be Saturn. You could be the cold, barren winter land. You could be the seeds that dangle and haven't fallen quite yet from the maple leaves onto the ground. You could be the harvest. You could experience the thresh and the renewal of life after death. And you could have all of that and be satisfied at any time, any planet, any influence, anything. But you return to the sun. The sun is the seed where it all begins, and it is the umbilical cord that feeds you life. It is warming, it is caring, it is consistent and kind. It thrusts itself into nuclear bombardment all the time, but would never expose you to such things. It keeps you at a safe distance, in a habitable zone, because it loves you. Just as the placenta of the womb would never, ever place all the dangers that it has to filter out and turn into perfect life, ever expose the baby, the star child, to such a thing. Never. But it always has some origin from the sun, and the placenta never used to be that way. It wasn't always so kind. The placenta at one point in time was a blastocyst that embedded in the fallopian tubes as a form of cancer. That's how every baby forms in the beginning. Cancer that overtakes the woman's body. And then some magical intervention occurs. It says, the life principle is more important than destruction. So even if the cyst wants to take over, it shall be subservient to the woman and the baby, and it shall feed it to the very end until it calcifies itself after using up every bit of its vital resources and filtration system. And then it will be discarded and thrown out to the wolves or the world itself, or for the mother to eat if she wants, in placentophagy. But all of this happens. The baby is born, and the placenta does not have a name, does not get an identity, and it must serve everyone like a slave. Because it started as cancer. You see? It tried to destroy something that was perfect. And that's the same story for every cell that's ever formed into cancer. It wanted to take over and destroy a system that was made in the image and likeness of a superior intelligence. It wanted to own it all because it was tired of being in service. And the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because you can either be the placenta by hating one another, being at opposition, and seeing yourself as a victim. Or you can step through the narrow gates, the portal of your life, travel down the umbilical cord to the source of life itself, and become the star child. Choose to stay here as the placenta, and you will play this game over and over and over again, and it will not stop. You will incarnate until you finally get the hint that it is your choice to be on the side of the star child. No one else's. That depends on how you see yourself. That's the moral of this story, profound on this day. Because the story of San Valentin isn't a pretty story. It's not. Nor is the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth. It's not a pretty story. You know, Easter used to be the biggest holiday of the year. Because, you know, a birth is important and it's meaningful. However, it's very common. Resurrection, on the other hand, not very common. It's a lot of crunch for a day. I think we're going to return where we are now. Let me catch up on everyone's kindnesses. 10,800 feet above sea level. Digital Curious, great to see you again. Savannah, thank you for sharing. On this Valentine's Day, it has been an amazing roller coaster, which is fun. I do enjoy roller coasters, and I do enjoy mental challenges. Pretzel, hello, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Sovereign Slade, if you're still here, says, the ever-unfolding present moment, the key. I love this talk. Thank you so much, Slade. So grateful that you're here. Grateful for you. Savannah, thank you for sharing as much as you do. I'm grateful for you. A Town LLC asks, where are you currently at? I am in New England, Connecticut. Connecticut, New England. Carol Sobers, thanks for following. Tammy, thanks for sharing. And A Town LLC, thank you for saying excellent retort. I did catch that. Perhaps you caught when I mentioned that word. Pelios is here. Great to see you again, Pelios. Mentions shadow bans. Yes, that's my little timeout that TikTok likes to give me regularly for speaking the truth. But then again, everyone has to feel like they're needed. I'm sure that's how TikTok feels like it's needed and welcome. That just protects people by censoring them. You know, it protects people. Destiny Marie, thank you for following. Susan Renee says, I've been seeing the energy around trees today. All right, we're caught up now. That's awesome. I love that. The ever-present now. Pelios says, I can't see the live for whatever reason, for some reason. My connection is green. Jim Bagnola with the heart me. Thank you and welcome to the team. You're number 13. 13 holds a great number of significances to the United States of America. It does. 13 being an occult number. Very, very occult number. Not cult number, but occult, as in clandestine or otherwise hidden. I suppose you could say 13 is a cult. It's a cult of death. Of course, to have a cult of death, you have to have a cult of life. You can't have death without life. Right? Chicken, egg, both at the same time. That was weird, wasn't it, Pelios? Perhaps you were having a present moment. Alegría. Qué alegría. Me encanta el sol. Se siente muy rico en este día de Valentín. Me siento vivo y rico. Hasta hay nubes que están bloqueando el solecito. Solecito. Más alegría. ¿Y ustedes les gustan los rayos del sol? Lo me imagino que sí. Qué bueno. A mí también. Me gusta mucho recibir el sol. A mí también. The law of polarity. Right. Duality. We must have tension between the positive and the negative. A sort of cosmic tug of war. And in this creation of tension, something formulates in the middle. Its definition is light. In an electric circuit, it's no different. You have positive and negative poles, creating an electromagnetic field. Concentrated resistance from that determines the amount of light that is generated. So we must have tension. We must have disagreements and arguments. We must have resistance. We must have light, and we must have dark. We must have contrasts. We must not all be herded into a singular form of mob and told this is the only way. Because that cannot happen. Physically cannot happen in this world. This world is a result of duality. So you can't be a mob doing the same thing as everyone else for too long. For there will be creeping up in the silent distance the exact polar opposite, looking to express itself after being oppressed for too long. And it will surface and rise and create so much tension and provide so much correction that the light in the middle becomes brighter than it's ever been before. And those who see that emittance of light and know that it's coming from all this tension shall flock to that instead of herding around some messy situation that has festered in the darkness. So yes, there is tension at hand and talk of conflict. There is reform. There's frustration. There are changes, folks. Did you know that that very fluoride that I mentioned about 15, 20 minutes ago, that was pumped into our water tables back in 1947 following the Nuremberg trials and Operation Paperclips Foundation by the U.S. government, that at that time, fluoride started to be introduced to our water tables. Did you know that? Well, yesterday, speaking of things creeping up in the silence and providing a polar opposite exchange, a man by the name of RFK Jr. was voted in as the Secretary of Health for the entire United States and got an extra 3 votes, more than was necessary to be appointed. Of course, Mitch McConnell wasn't on board, but we all know that he is technically not even really alive, but also dangling by someone's hands and strings. In any case, RFK Jr. happened to talk about how fluoride happens to be a neurotoxin and it will be removed from everyone's water tables. I don't see any airplanes sending off chemtrails, and I haven't seen them for a good number of weeks, ever since there was a new appointment of presidency here in this beloved country. So you know all those metals that were falling from those chemtrails? I have a feeling that we're going to have a beautiful harvest this year when it comes to our plants and the earth's expression of life once these deciduous trees decide to blossom again. And I'm very much looking forward to that, as much as I do not entertain time as much as I used to. I am looking forward to this year's harvest. How about you? I'm looking forward to everyone having the fluoride from their diet removed, at least from the water tables, because what's going to happen then is you'll be more receptive to these messages and to the light that is coming from the sun as your umbilical cord. I see a collective consciousness awakening without any awareness of it because of the removal of this neurotoxin that has been in our bodies since the 40s. I mean, collectively, our parents have passed it on. So welcome to illumination, everyone. It's coming. Nicole Jackson says, sending my love and light to you all. We are all one, indeed. Shadow work is important. We do this here in the woods. Sometimes I hit the mark. Sometimes I become contentious, and then I pull away from body. I observe that I'm alive. I realize that I'm an avatar having a life experience with a collection of pains. They unravel the moment that I witness my aliveness, and that's all I want you to do too. Come into it for a few minutes per day in the form of meditation and prayer, and find your wishes on your way, on the way to you. You're building the path to a wish-fulfilled life by being present with your aliveness as an observer. You don't have to have a plan or a strategy or a definition for what is happening. You can just be, and that's enough. In fact, it's better than interfering. See, nothing helps a baby when it's interfering with the womb, right? You interfere with the amniotic sac, you put the baby at risk. So all you have to do is be. The systems are in place for your sustenance and your wish fulfillment. You can just focus on being in your imagination and seeing your desires become manifest. That's more than enough goodness in work, so you don't have to interfere with your physical body's repair or the unraveling of your pain remembrances and their ultimate dissolution. The death of your ego. Ego death is a result, and anyone who's experienced any large amount of dimethyltryptamine, either produced by the body naturally through the sun, as I am right now, or through other means of medicine for spiritual practice, you will find that your ego dies. It's a temporary death. However, it must depart, and thus you become part of the infinite consciousness at that moment in time, for however long the duration lasts with your physical body kind of tethered to it. So what you can expect with the reduction or removal entirely of fluoride as a neurotoxin from Americans in our society is an increase in the quality of dimethyltryptamine produced by the pineal gland through tryptophan, at which point people will start having more lucid dreams, more awareness, and the first experience of neurogenesis that they've had probably since they were in the womb. All of these things are bound to happen. There will be unification of consciousness just from the removal of this neurotoxin. While that's happening, all of the seed oils, including rapeseed and other oils that have been put into our bodies that used to be used as engine lubricants, will be removed from all of the commercial and fast food restaurants, replaced with beef tallow and other very healthy forms of fat, full of cholesterol, that help nourish the body, the mind, and the spine. And this is all about to roll out over the course of the next 2 years. There'll probably be mandates requiring all commercial places to adhere, or they will be asked to go elsewhere or close, at which point the GMO companies that are responsible for genetically modifying seeds in order to create monocultures of plants that have created superbugs that have destroyed organic farms will all be decimated. And it's just a matter of it returning on what they've given to us in the form of poison over the course of the last 80 years. It's just been poisoning us. So it's now shifting. We'll probably have perpetual health once AI catches up with the body and is able to influence the body through health and through prosthetics and through the regeneration of cells. I foresee this current Gen A and future generations being, if they want, totally immortal. Pretty sweet. So we are in the last of the toxic days, the last of the toxic years. Probably only about a few months left of pain-inducing interference coming from conglomerates that know not what they do, but all the same are given positions of power. Empires are collapsing and being rebuilt by those who truly care about our children and our survival and our health. And you may not believe this, because the systems in power may be your employer, and you may be benefiting intrinsically from that, and have been, especially since the pandemic. And if you're one of those people, this is a great place to be for reflection, so that you can start to come into service in what I would consider to be an appropriate, healthy way, which is to inform people on how to decalcify their pineal gland and to remove fluoride from their diet for their well-being. This will be resisted by the pharmaceutical companies entirely. This will be resisted by special interests and lobbyists. This will be resisted by doctors and dentists and otherwise physicians who benefit from these products being sold or distributed. Of course, the pesticide companies and the major GMO companies, which shall not be named, also equally as furious, not wanting this information to be disseminated or interfered with in any way, so that the buck continues rolling. And it's all coming to an end. All of it. Any resistance to it? I'm not even going to ask why. If you're resisting people coming into their fullness of health, I'm not going to ask you why, nor am I interested in knowing your answer. It's not human. It's not love, and it's not logical. And we have reached some goal. Thank you, Sovereign Slade, for all those roses. Brought me back to the camera. As above, so below. We are coming into our health, everyone. The fast food that we're going to be eating will actually feel great to eat. It will be delicious. And we'll be looking at our stomachs in the morning asking, how is it that we're not bloated? How is it that I feel great? How is it that I'm eating twice as much as I used to eat and I am losing weight, whereas I was gaining eating half of what I was eating before? How is this possible? How is this happening? How is it that these people are saying honest things on the news now? When did that happen? How is it that people are actually saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school? How is it that fluoride is no longer in my toothpaste and my water? It's not coming through. Everything feels clean, pristine. The air feels fresher. I don't have these bags under my eyes. What happened? My skin looks and feels better. What was really happening before? What was I putting into my body? What decalcifies the pineal gland? Neem? An Ayurvedic herb? A 4-letter word? NEEM? Decalcifies my pineal gland. Can be used as a contraceptive? It's 99.99% effective as a spermicidal lubricant? That gives me reproductive freedom. But I'm a man. How could I have reproductive freedom as a man? I was always told the only ones who could have the pill are the women. And they've had it since the 60s. You mean this takes away Roe v. Wade? It's no longer needed because of an Ayurvedic herb? A supplement that I'm taking that is sold over the counter and everywhere and is easily grown and harvested and eaten, has 20 years of thick research and study done by multitudes of doctors discovering all of these properties. It reduces acne, increases the quality of my hair, strengthens the hair follicles, antimicrobial, antiviral, antibacterial, can even be used as an organic pesticide. How come we're not getting access to this beautiful Ayurvedic herb? Until now. Because I see the light. The fact that there's even metal in tampons isn't, and yes, it's introducing toxins. But, I'm waiting for the day where TikTok catches on that it's no longer a conspiracy. It's just no longer a conspiracy anymore. So men, before you get into a situation, if you're 18 years old or older, and you get into a situation where you want to be intimate with your love and it's Valentine's Day, so I might as well take this opportunity, really consider for about a month's time consuming neem as an Ayurvedic supplement. It's just a leaf from a tree that's been taken for thousands of years by people in India and in the East. Because after a month, your sperm will become 90% immotile, which means the tails won't wiggle and they'll have no interest in fertilizing an egg. They won't deplete, but they just won't be active. And if you use that oil as a spermicidal lubricant, it will destroy 99.99% of all the sperm in 30 minutes, which means if you use it before and after, not only is it antimicrobial, antiviral, antibacterial, but it's also a spermicide that will pretty much guarantee no unwanted pregnancies or surprises. And the pharmaceutical companies are not going to like that I'm saying this, because they have a product that's spermicidal, but it's only about 85% effective, maybe 90%. And then, of course, they have all these hormone-altering drugs that you can take that the research shows isn't nearly as beneficial as an Ayurvedic herb that has no known contraindications for people over the age of 18 and serves as incredibly effective for both men and women as a supplement for the prevention of pregnancy. And there are lots of studies that show this. Of course, you could start your journey by asking Meta or ChatGPT, tell me about neem, and it's going to say, well, neem is a terrific insecticide. It's organic. It's an Ayurvedic herb that's been used for thousands of years. It's not going to tell you anything about decalcification of the pineal gland because, well, that won't benefit the pharmaceutical companies. It won't tell you how to formulate it into a spray to protect your plants from aphids and other baddies either, because that would go against the wishes of the pesticides companies. And by the way, fluoride is a byproduct of pesticide production. So it's convenient that it would be sold to the government to be put into the water table. It has an amazing effect on calcifying the pineal gland, which has a result on your sleep cycles and mood elevation, melatonin production, serotonin production, dimethyltryptamine, anandamide, a number of things that are vital for you. And I'm just really happy. I'm really happy that these corporations are getting checked now. I'm really happy that there'll no longer be these poisons introduced to our bodies without our consent. Feel free to have as much of it as you want, but on your own time, by your own choice. I used to have a lot of fluoride. I used to brush my teeth with large dollops depressed, filled with fluoride. In fact, when I was in elementary school, I joined the fluoride program, where I would take fluoride and swish it in my mouth every morning, just before I said the Pledge of Allegiance. And it was around that time that I gained a lot of weight, started to feel down, really bad about myself, and I lost a lot of confidence, and I also became extremely docile. I remember those times. And then, of course, I graduated from my elementary school, and I no longer was on the fluoride program. And the moment I came off the fluoride program, I recall feeling an elevation of mood and suddenly wanting to exercise a lot more. So I joined the cross-country team. And I went from about 180 pounds at age 12 to about 110 to 120 pounds at age 14, while also going through puberty. I was in the best shape of my life after I went off of that fluoride program. And I was eating McDonald's probably 2 or 3 times a day. This was before it was fully inundated with seed oils. I could have whatever I wanted, and I wouldn't gain weight no matter what I ate after I got off that damn fluoride program. Not saying it's correlated. Of course not. It's just speculation. Remember, I'm a speculative fiction author. I just like to read a lot and listen to podcasts. And the Secretary of Health. I could be indoctrinated. But then again, I'm just an avatar like everyone else, having a life experience as whatever your name is. I am William. Having a life experience, voicing opinions, coming to conclusions, making mistakes, making errors. But I know for sure this is observable data. I went from one weight to another. And I tied to that the feeling that came with that as elevated mood. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can expect a nice post like this with all of the studies on neem, this Ayurvedic herb, to be hitting my channel sometime either today or tomorrow. And it will be for sale. And what I suggest, whether you're a man or a woman, so long as you're over the age of 18 and have gone through puberty, or are going through puberty and are age 18, my suggestion is that you get yourself as much of a supply as you possibly can before it is taken off the market after this goes viral. It will be scarce and hard to find. First of all, because everyone will be buying it. You know, I don't know of a single man who would rather be in a situation of having unprotected sex, get his partner pregnant, they break up, and suddenly he is responsible for making 18 years of child support payments until the child is an adult, as a better option than having reproductive freedom through an $11 supplement that gives you a 100-day supply. Just doesn't seem to add up in comparison. By the way, those people who have to pay for 18 years, every week you miss a single payment, you go to jail. Or you can spend $11 on a supplement over the counter that gives you reproductive freedom. But who am I to say this? I'm just an avatar walking in the woods talking to you through your screen. All right, everyone. That was fun. This is going to conclude our talk today. Some days I hit it out of the park. Other days it's a lot of runs. My father used to play in a softball league when he was a programmer for AT&T. And his softball league had a name for their team, and their team was called the Runs. I thought that was quite clever. Clever for a team name in softball. The Runs. Anyway, this video has been sponsored by the Universal Intelligence, the creator of all things, the imagination. Thank you for watching. I am grateful to you. My name is William Vincent Carlton. It has been a pleasure broadcasting for you on this day. I wish for you to have the most beautiful Valentine's Day. I'm glad that I could educate you on the safe practices of wish fulfillment. And to see yourself living from the end, with all of your wishes coming true, in the now. These, my friends, are the winds of change. Whoa. Slippity slide. All right, everybody. I love you all, seriously. You're all amazing. Thank you for the lightning bolts and heart puffs and all the gifts and everything. Sovereign, thank you for that. Grateful to you too, Nicole. DJ, have an awesome day. I love you all so much. Thanks for being here and tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow, sometime around 12:30, 1 o'clock. This will be posted on YouTube tonight, and the pharmaceutical companies are now coming after me, so I'm going to run. I love you all. Chickadee, I'm coming.